The next topic is, sorry, attribute-based access control. Okay. So under what scenario we are going to implement the attribute access controls? Let's say one scenario, uh, your organization is growing rapidly, okay, and you are managing IAM roles and permissions for each individual user has become difficult, right? The security team has decided to implement attribute-based access control to dynamically grant permissions based on your user attributes instead of manually assigning an policy. Again, let me elaborate a little more. Let's say there are two environment, development and production environment, and almost 100 IAM accounts are there in the environment. IAM users are there, and it's really difficult. Sorry, it's really difficult to manage to assign permissions for each individual users who will do what. Few of users they can only monitor the EC2 or not only EC2 like other AWS resources like Lambda, S3, EC2. There are hundreds of resources are there, right? Hundreds of services are there. So the kind of permission we set it for each individual IAM user, it's really difficult to manage the entire infrastructure. And for that, we have to write our custom policy and keep on assigning to user or group. So it's better if it is 100%. It's a kind of a type 10 accounts. It's somehow it is manageable. Probably this may not require it. There is a limited resource available. But if it is a kind of a very mid-range level or enterprise level environment, we always come into the picture that we have to configure the attribute-based access control to for the respective users. What we are going to do those? Let's say out of this three department is there, out of 100 users, three departments there, production, development, and testing, let's say, test environment. So like we'll configure the attributes for and the environment configure the attributes for resource and the user. For resource, we have to configure the tag, update the tag resource wise, whichever the machines or the servers are belongs to development, and whichever belong to production, and whichever belong to your testing environment. Similarly, for the respective user who will access to testing machines, whoever will access to production, whoever will access to your development environment. So we have to configure the attributes, I mean the tags for all the respective users. That is how we'll configure so that the development team they cannot perform any actions on production machines. Even production machine they cannot production department they cannot perform any actions on the development team. Even testing cannot perform any actions, execute any actions on the development and production. So the kind of instead of writing the policy and assign to specific user and group, it will be hectic. So how we are going to overcome this by configuring the attribute based access control? It's quite straightforward. On attribute based, they will start accessing the environment. So the requirements are there. Let's say the requirement that is what I have discussed, right? Users in development teams should have access to AWS resource tagged with the environment as a dev. Okay, users in the development team, that means the IAM users who are part of a development team, they will have access to the machines or the resource, AWS resource lot like EC2, any other resource they are accessing, whichever are the tagged with the dev. Environment is your key, dev is your value. Whichever are tagged with the environment equal to dev. Users in the IAM users in the prod team should only have access to AWS resource tagged with the environment is your prod. So IAM policies should dynamically determine the permissions based on the user's IAM tags. That is what we discussed, right? So users should not be allowed to access resource that do not match their assigned department, which I covered. So what is the list of tasks we are going to perform? We are going to perform these are the list of tasks, and this is the one requirement came, and it was asked by our management or the our team that as you are the architect, you have to take care of this. This is how it's all about your security best practice. Okay, let's perform. So what you have to do? We have to perform these three tasks. We have to create a IAM policy and which implements ABACs. ABAC using user tags. Associate that policy to the specific users and users or groups. Send the correct tags to them. Then test it whether you are able to access the respective department or not. Okay, let's jump in and start. So there are two more scenario. We'll test it on the EC2 machines first. Same thing, we can do the testing on the your database machine as well. So let's start doing the testing on implementing ABAC on development and production EC2 machines. Okay, so these are the steps. First, we have to create a policy. Now jump into the consoles. Go to your IAM. Okay. So go to your policy. So any now there is no specific managed policy available for ABAC. So we are going to write a custom policy. Okay. So click on JSONs. Okay. For this requirement, what we are going to test it that we categorize development and production department. Okay. Development machine and production machine. We'll launch two machines. We'll tag it as one development and other one will tag it as a productions. Okay. So prior to that, let me launch two machines. Okay. Your let's say I'm launching two machines. Uh, let's say I'm launching two machines. Launch instance. Can Yes, for testing purpose, we can go with proceed without key pair. That's fine. We can go with the security groups. Okay. Launch instance. Now two machine got launched. Now let's see pending. You can filter it by clicking on this magnifying one. So for that, you go to tags. Okay. Have to update. Anyway, these two machine launched. So first by that time, next let's create the policy. What is the task they are going to perform, right? So we'll write a policy for the production and development. So again, you can create whatever the requirement you have. You can create add new statements. Keep on adding the list of actions. You can declare the conditions. Everything you can do it over here. Same, I have my policy with me. I can come here. Let me task it. Do it for the EC2 machines. Okay. I generate from here only. Okay. Instead of spending more time, I just do the copy paste. Same thing I generated from here by clicking add a new statement and it for the sessions quickly. You see, allow describe instance. What is the statement is there? SID, you can mention anything. So it should be friendly name when because in the real time you have to give a friendly ID. I mean the friendly name when you are writing a policy for each of the permissions you are going to assign to the specific user or group. So SID effect is allow EC2 is a describe instance. This is the action only I have given resource anything. Okay, but particularly inside the EC2 describe instance. And again, one more statement. It is written allow start stop reboot with conditions. See, allow it can be rebooted and start reboot and stop no stop. Okay, and resource can be any condition. I have given the conditions. Conditions for whom? I have two departments, right? One is development, other one is productions. So I am writing a policy that any IAM user who is tagged with the environment, I mean, sorry, who is tagged with the department, dev department, they can access to these machines. They can perform these two actions, reboot and start instance. Which machines? The machines are the resource which will configure the tag, will update the tag environment as key and development is your value. So only that can be performed by the development user, development department. But if the production department as prod, if they will try to reboot or start the instance, they cannot. I mean, the development team, dev department with the development team, they cannot reboot or start the instance on the production machines. That is what we are going to. This is the policy we have. Okay, so click on sorry. Let's say CDM. What is this? ABAC. CDM ABAC. I'm giving a policy name. Create policy. Yeah, that's all. Then what is next steps? You go to your groups. I'm going to associate, right? Let's say I am going to associate this one. Let's say, let me remove this image. I didn't remove it related create problems. Anyway, mm, remove this user. We remove this permissions. I'll associate the one which we have created, right? Because we are going to test it, right? At that time, let me create another user. Okay, let's say this is one user, ABAC one. custom password. Uh, that's fine. Let's not spend much time on this. I am going to group. Okay. I am going to administrator, let's say. Okay. Do I have any permissions over here? It's quite damn slow. Let me remove this. Okay. So what I am going to do, I am going to attach this development team. I am using development group. Okay. Let me remove. Actually, it was there. I was about to clean up. I didn't. Let me remove and freshly assign. Click on attach policy. What is that policy we have created? CDM ABAC. Click on attach policy. Now, what exactly? Now, when Vicky or Sipun, they will try to log in the consoles and they will try to access the machine. Which machines? The machine we have launched it, right? Here you see. There are two machines. Okay, click on here. There are two machines. Now, development machine, this machine, the Vicky and Sipun, they are part of dev department, right? Dev groups. They can perform start and reboot, but they cannot perform these machines. So how will do it? So you have to configure the tags. Okay, first let's do it for the development one. Okay, select this machines, go to tags, manage tags, click on okay. It's not required. I am updating. You can take it from here. Okay, what is that? Department. Sorry, machine. It is the environment. Okay, and the what is this machine for? This is for development. Okay, click on save. And what is this machine for? This is for productions, right? Click on tags, go to manage, click on here. Then what I have to do is just copy this environment, paste it over here. Everything you can do through command line, okay? Everything you can do command line. And this is environment is for what? This environment is for only fraud. I am not going to give for development, okay? Now, clear? So now what is next steps? We have to update the update the tags for user as well. Now Dicky and Sipun. This resource part is over, right? Next step is we have to update this tag for Dicky and resource. I think it's already there in there. Okay. Like this. Anyway, I didn't clean up all this. So similarly, you can create add new tag. Okay, add new tag and give the dev as your value. Okay, because you see what is the department as dev. Okay, it's already there. And same like for this one, Sifun user. Let's see, I think tag was already updated. Yeah, department dev. Okay, you can delete it, you can add it tag. Okay, so this part is over. Now we can test it, right? Let's log in with either Wiki or the Sipun. Policy is associated. Remove this. We want to give this one only. This, what is the policy we have given? That the dev team, they can what they can perform? They can reboot and start the instance. Which one? Only for environment which are into development. And the environment which are tagged with prod, they cannot do anything. That is what we are going to test it. So let's log in. Let's log in. Let's log in with the user. We can sign into consoles. Let's say I'm logging with the zip one. Okay. Now, only EC2 is given. That's why it will keep on throwing error. Okay. Then go to dashboard. So even I'll go to S3 also, it will not allow me to do perform anything because I have written the policy. So what? Only to perform the operations or execution only on EC2 machine. See, even I'll create a bucket, something, he cannot do. Sipun cannot do. Create a bucket. See, fail to create a bucket because you view your permission. You are not authorized to perform any actions. I have given permissions that you are the user See, nothing, no more permission, no more action. It is given only start and reboot. Now I logged into Sipun. Sipun is part of a development team, right? Now, what is the permission given to Sipun? He can stop and reboot. Is that the action I have given? What is that action I have given? Reboot and start the instance. But production one they cannot do. So which one is what is this tax? No, this one. This one he can reboot. See, because the Sipun is part of development, right? I have configured this tag on basis of that policy also written. You see the condition is written. So now if you try to restart this message, click on terminate. It should, sorry, terminate it will not work because terminate permission I am not given. I have given only to perform what? Development machine, he can reboot or start. Let's say reboot. See, successfully initiated rebooting. This machines, because you see the tag, it's matching, right? Now, the same one, if Sipun will try to perform this, ultimately it's saying, it's try to perform this. See, don't worry about this pop-up, okay? This error it is coming because I have given only two actions, start and reboot. Remaining is not given. That's why it's keep on throwing that you are not authorized to perform other stuffs. Now, Sipun already tested that this is the development machines. He is able to restart, but this is the production machines, right? You see, environment is broad. Now, let me try. Let me try to restart, reboot. See, it should throw a error. See, you are not authorized to perform these operations. Complete. See, that is how the security. This is the most important thing in any cloud environment. When you go work on AWS, Azure, Google, it's the most important stuffs. Okay, this is all about ABAC. That what we learn over here, instead of managing and assigning policies or creating custom policies and assigning to individual users or groups, it would be really hectic in the enterprise level environment. So what is the solution? We have to configure the attribute based access control so that and we'll categorize to specific department wise so that it will be easy to manage the entire infrastructure. Like this we have tested, right? Similarly, you can do the same thing for the database. Let's say hundreds of database server running, who can access, who cannot. For that you have to write a custom policy, right? And that is attribute based access control. Then you have to configure the user tag as well as a resource tag, the way we have configured, right? This is the resource tag. Even I'll try to change, even you might be asking, hey, I can change it and start doing it. Let's try to remove me. Okay, add a new tag. Okay, add new tag. You're smart, right? Let's say if you are trying to make it as an environment, I'll try to do, right? Someone will think, na, so here I have control for these consoles. I can do it and try to reboot this production machines. Let's say, let's try. It is there outside. See, you are not authorized to perform these operations because perform this tagging. I didn't give any actions, right? I have given the actions only for start and reboot. That's all. No other action it is given. If I'll allow the actions to perform, that the Sipun and Vicky is part of development team, they can change the tags as well. Then they can pop up. But I have only given two actions. Each service there are 100 and there are a bulk of actions, right? Okay. So hope everything is clear now. Yeah, that's all about the ABAC. Okay. Now here I can terminate from my consoles as I'm the admin. I can terminate all these stuffs. Okay. So that's all about the attribute based access control. Hope it's clear. What is this? Okay, we have tested the scenario. What is this scenario? Why you are doing and what are the requirement will be in the picture? It's all about your business requirement. What are the list of tasks you have to perform? That's all. This is all about. We have tested for EC2. Same thing you can do for the RDS as well. Same process, but here the policy will be different. For RDS, the policy will be different. How write a policy? Simply you click on add statement from your consoles, generate the policy, add a conditions, update it, associate to the specific users or groups, then test it. That's all. Okay. The next topic is, sorry, attribute based access control. Okay. So under what scenario we are going to implement the attribute access controls? Let's say one scenario, uh, your organization is growing rapidly. Okay. And you are managing IAM roles and permissions for each individual user has become difficult, right? The security team has decided to implement attribute based access control to dynamically grant permissions based